Welcome back to Drones in America by MarketScale. I'm your host, Grant Giat, and I'm a partner in the Unmanned Aircraft Systems team leader at the law firm of Adams & Reese. We're coming to you today from MarketScale's new studio. They've done a great job setting it up, and we're excited to welcome our guest today, who is JP Giametti. JP is the Director of Global Strategy and Corporate Development at HCSS Aerial. JP, welcome to the program.
Hey, Zach, thank you very much. Thanks for the invite.
Now, let's talk about what it is you do with HCSS Aerial. I know that you deal a lot with construction matters and how drones are utilized in construction. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Sure. And again, thanks for the opportunity. HCSS Aerial is a project that we actually formally launched in the market in March 2020 last year, right before the pandemic. We present this product at ConExpo, one of the biggest construction show. So this is a new product in our portfolio, and we're very excited. Since then we have a lot of good customer feedback. Basically, this is a drone image-based platform, right? We process drone images that people fly in the job site, and from there we generate a 3D model with a high accuracy, sometimes sub-inch, where construction workers and different stakeholders can benefit from different use cases. But the Aerial is a cloud-based tool that processes the drone images. It takes usually up to 24 hours to generate this 3D cloud that can be used for or from different people across the job site or also at the office.
Now, tell me a little bit about what you see as being some of the best use cases for drones in the construction industry.
Sure. Well, there are many, and that's what gets me excited. Every almost week we find new ones, and also I would like to show you what we think that are the potential new workflows. But people are using drones for different ways. Usually they start with marketing, right? They start flying for fun. They want to have or capture good drone images, and suddenly they realize the power of data. For example, you can perform digital inspections. Zach, as you know, right? You're an attorney. There are huge liabilities or eventual change orders where by just going back to the platform and having that documentation in place, it may help you big time. I see that happening even with smaller contractors. I have a contractor using this software and he's flying every week. And I ask, hey, why are you flying so often? And he said, JP, I just have a change order, $500,000. I was able to protect myself by showing the drone images and the documentation. So that's just one case, right? Documentation, digital inspections. What I was sharing with you after the pandemic, we saw a big increase, right? With a lot of people not being able to go to the sites. They were using drone surveying tools as a way to quickly know what's going on, for progress tracking, measurements, inventory tracking, right? If you are a pit or a plant and you want to track your inventory, your materials, again, the accuracy, it's up to a sub-inch, and the use cases are many. I just mentioned some of them, but to me, the main thing is that it brings data that can be consumed by different departments in the construction companies, and also you can share this information with the project owner, inspectors, subcontractors. So we see new use cases as they start driving adoption or they start sophisticating their drone program.
Now, JP, tell me a little bit about how you work with entities to establish a drone program.
Well, that's a good question, Grant. Different stages, different companies, different needs. I have guys that just call us and say, hey, I want to learn what's going on, how I can get involved, right? That's kind of like in the low end or easy or step 0 that we call, to the step 5, where I see companies already with the clear, SOP process. They already have different business units. They have processes, goals. So let me walk you through kind of like the extreme so you can see the guys that, again, they have no experience. Usually we suggest them, hey, before you even make an investment, right? Before you get into this, let me help you to see if you care or if this is good for you. That's the first. And I'm trying to understand what are the business goals. How often are they going to fly? What type of accuracy are they looking for? What is the type of experience? Do you have a drone in-house? Do you have a drone, right? We need to answer all these questions first. And oftentimes, what I suggest, or we suggest as a company with HESS, is like, hey, let's go and rent a drone. Let's, even rent a pilot and experience ones, because you may have to follow some steps in order to get the best outcomes. So we do that. It's kind of like not very disruptive for this company, and if they like the results that they see, we then help them to put program in place that it will be okay. Maybe you have to buy this drone. You're going to buy this software for 6 months. You can see your ROI, and then maybe you start with one site, right? Maybe you start flying bi-weekly, and then from there, they can scale by adding more sites, by training more pilots in-house, eventually buying more drones. But that's kind of in the low end. Now, let me give you the other side. I spoke with the company yesterday, for example. They are a more complex operations, right? Because they own a material side of the company, which they call manufacturing. They also have, the earthwork team, and also they have the asphalt and paving company. So the interesting part here, Grant, is that different teams may have different needs, and they may have each of them specific processes. But just to give you an idea, they may have like a dozen of pilots that are flying weekly, and they have a clear SOP in order of liabilities, checklists, how they need to pursue, what is the process, when we need to trigger a flight. Is this started by the project management, by the estimator, and then that goes to the surveying department, and then they have a process. So that's, to me, is the more sophisticated ones.
Now, how do you go about determining who the right partners are to partner with when you're building such a program? Because obviously a huge component of this is making sure you align yourselves with the right people. So how would you advise these companies on determining who the right partners are?
Well, I love that question, because you are exactly right. I work in innovation for HSS. I work in the early stage of bringing products to market. So usually we have a criteria that we develop. Like, for example, we have the rules of engagement, right? And again, you're an attorney, and I like to put some sort of language and one-pagers, because you're right. Many times having the right partner can be a mistake for both parties, because we're wasting their time. So we first start with setting clear expectations. And then again, we define the scope of work to maybe a couple of weeks, like a trial program, where we define what are the outcomes, what they're going to achieve. And we may reduce the trial or the POC to 3-4 flights. And then we identify who are the stakeholders. And usually, we're looking for 1 or 2 people who are decision makers and who are willing to have 30-40 minutes call to provide feedback, so we can collaborate and work together. And that goes into a writing document that is kind of like an MOU, memorandum of understanding, and then we execute. Now, sometimes people in construction, that they get busy, or they are now in the construction season, or drones are subject, right, to weather conditions. So if it's a bad day, we have to wait. So we are flexible. But to your point, we're trying to find people who are looking for innovation, who they want to explore. And the good news with HSS that I'm amazed, in my 6 years at the company, most of our customers, that's the reason they want to work with us, because we're there from them. We see this as a challenge. We are not just trying to sell them anything. So we approach this as a kind of project that we are going to collaborate to prove our thesis. And if both parties are happy, then we proceed. So there is no, but we're trying to do that in a way that is not disruptive. Makes sense? So we try to minimize the initial experiment, check against outcomes, and then scale only if we achieve the results and they are happy with them.
So as these companies are looking to scale out a drone fleet, what are some of the items they often overlook?
Sometimes, again, they may have expectations, right, in terms of accuracy. They're looking, hey, we want sub-inch, hey, we want this. So in those cases, maybe having a more sophisticated drone, right, maybe with RTK technology, will justify the investment. Otherwise, having lower quality drones will demand more time with the GCP marking. So that's what we are trying to help them. But sometimes the barriers are the internal resources, Grant. As you can see, we are in a time, right, that things are changing so fast. Technology is coming every day, regulations, expectations, and sometimes the biggest bottleneck is to have the in-house capability, right? The right people to invest in this technology. So usually it's more like the leadership commitment and having the right people in place. What I see often is that usually start with the young guy, and I don't want to make that as a bad statement, but usually, it's a young guy who loves technology, who has some experience in the field, who he loves, flying drones, and he become like the Guinea pig, right? He said, okay, I want to try this. And he may have the, support of his team or the credibility. So we usually work with them and we help them, but it's a change management process. There is no one way or the other. It still is early, I think, in the industry. But what I saw in the last 12 months is amazing. And I'm sure in the next 2 years, it's going to scale 5x what happened in just last year. And I'm happy and ready for that,
So I guess, one of the final points I want to ask you about is, do you see the construction industry right now continuing to embrace drones, or do you think there's been a stagnation, or do you think that the industry really is starting to utilize this technology more and more? I mean, you can't deny the cost savings and the risk reductions and how important it is to utilize this technology, especially, when one construction company is using drones and another one isn't. You better believe that the one that's using drones has a competitive advantage. So I would imagine as more companies begin to use this technology, you're kind of going to see, I would think, an exponential effect. Are you seeing construction companies embrace drone technology more and more?
Big time, and I like it. I feel very positive. I call it join the drone evolution, right? But, to me, Grant, is not just the driver for construction companies, right? You may want to bet on this technology or not. It's up to you as a business owner. But what is happening is that there is a demand from the owner side. So we see now more, Department of Transportations, right? DOTs or municipalities, also the most sophisticated ones, asking for this technology as a way to report progress for those projects that has X amount of dollars. So there will be a demand from the project owner side. So if you're going to be able to bid for some of these big projects, you may need to embrace this technology as part of your technology stack, right? Otherwise, you will not be able to participate. Again, I'm just sharing this with you because I have a customer, for example, in Arizona. When you see the bid items, right, the description, part of the requirements is to provide a 3D model, progressing tools, digital quantities. So if you're a contractor, or again, you can hire a third party's drone services for that specific product, or you may think, okay, I want to build these capabilities in-house.
And, I want to add that I work with construction companies, and I think having someone like you is crucial because there is always a learning curve when it comes to learning how to implement a program and really utilize this technology in a way that makes it scalable. So, working with a consultant such as you, I think would be a wise step for any commercial company. So congratulations, on your success, and thank you for what you do for the industry. And we would love to have you back on the program in the future.
Thank you. We are very passionate, and just let me explain. I think that our value proposition at HSS, we are a people company first, right? Second, technology. We were built in that legacy by our founder, Mike Riding. So we like to solve problems. In this case, right here, the drone is the input, right? But they have to build their team, their capabilities. And I didn't mention this to you, Grant, but also we have more than 10 other products in our portfolio where we see the drone data being able to leverage the other products and automate workflows. So we are in a very unique position to transform the industry. And we think that the drone is another tool to make that happen. So yes, we are very excited, and I will be glad to be back and share our progress.
Fantastic. Thank you again, JP. And please be sure to join us next week for the next episode of Drones in America by MarketScale.